soften, soften, soften. It is all about fun. It is all about software. Soften, thank the software beast for you. Soften, software fun.
Have you ever been in a software project and you wondered what brought you there and why your work hours so boring and long? Have you ever just envisioned yourself banging your head against the wall and wondered what is it that you are doing here and when is the project going to end? Have you ever been in other projects where you felt an incredible amount of joy and time flew like a breeze? Have you ever wondered what's the difference and if there is anything wrong with you having these thoughts? My name is Raif and I'm a software developer with more than 15 years of experience. That means I am too old. I have even witnessed the transition from Waterfall to Agile. It reminds me of my grandfather when he told me that he was there when Gandhi got killed. Waterfall is a software methodology whereby project phases are executed in a linear fashion. Each stage cannot start until the previous phase has completed in its entirety. In Waterfall, the customer will come with a huge set of ambitious requirements that the project manager would struggle to make waterproof documentation out of. There would be a lot of gaps in the requirements that the project manager would struggle to get them detailed out as thoroughly as he could and close them. Then we would move on to the implementation of a project that could span for 1 or 2 years. In almost all projects, we would fail to deliver on time and the customer would push us to work extra hours and on weekends to implement what we agreed we would deliver, and after finally delivering, he would go back to the documentation and try to find gaps in the original requirements that we didn't implement. These gaps will fire penalties and we would be pushed to cover. After getting engaged in so many waterfall projects, we could tell how important the documentation is. We would spend a lot of our time protecting ourselves with emails and pushing for replies from customers. Believe it or not, these emails helped protect us and our company and saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is because in Waterfall, if it is not documented early, it is too late. Even after the project is over, the customer is not really sure that what was implemented is what he really wants. If he chooses to change his mind, the project manager will eagerly initiate a change request and charge him. But are there not any other better methodologies? Well, luckily there is. I remember the first time that we had a daily stand-up, and this was the first time that I heard the word Agile. Agile is a software methodology that favors individuals and interactions over tools and processes. A stand-up meeting is a daily meeting each morning that is conducted while standing up. The point of his standing is to ensure it is short. Each team member will discuss what he did yesterday, what he will do today, and anything that he sees is stopping him or her. The daily stand-up is limited to 15 minutes, and any other further discussions are to be resumed after the meeting is over. It was too daunting for me at the beginning, not being used to this culture. I also noted that the product owner would meet with the stakeholders and would come up with some requirements that he called user stories. Product owner is the voice of the customer. He is the software team's link to the stakeholders' world. It is the product owner's responsibility to protect the stakeholders' dreams and make sure that the ship is heading to its target destination. I didn't know what user stories were in the beginning and had to ask, and was told that these are requirements from the customers and they begin with the words I want. An example of a user story would be, I want a new login pop-up so that I'll be able to log in, allowing me to have a personalized experience. We have a sprint and grooming session every 2 weeks. This is a session whereby team will meet and start estimating the user stories for the next sprint in terms of story points and decide which stories will get in the current sprint. There was a guy titled Scrum Master who called it an iteration, and in this meeting the Scrum Master would bring an item from the backlog and he would ask us to estimate it. The iteration is the time span for implementing, delivering, and testing the user stories for the current sprint. Backlog is a prioritized list of deliverables that the customer wants to see sometime in the future. I remember the first time I heard the fancy title Scrum Master, and I couldn't get out of my head the image of Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles. Ha 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 ha. Not very funny, I know. You don't have to be polite about it. Jokes aside, the Scrum Master works as a servant leader of the team, but he is less concerned with the technical side of things. He is more concerned with managing the sprint, story points, velocities, conducting stand-ups, and removing impediments. When I was asked to estimate the effort required, I enumerated the number of days, but was told to stop doing that. He wanted an estimate in story points. But what are the story points? I asked, and he explained to me. The story points are your feelings about the complexity of the story. He asked me to use Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, or infinity, 1 being the least complex and infinity being virtually impossible. I thought that would be too difficult, but it turned out to be intuitive. He told me different teams choose to do it in different ways, but this is his preference because he doesn't want to put us under needless pressure. Sometimes I would say an estimate that is too low compared to what everyone has said and would be asked to discuss why. And sometimes my estimate would be too big and that would open a discussion among the team members. At the end, we'll try to come with an appropriate story points to each story that the Scrum Master will type in as we are working. I remember one of the stories had to do with the style changes to the entire website. From a development point of view, it was a clear 5-pointer, but it would score much higher when it comes to testing, as the tester would have to go over the entire website to ensure there was no funny look and feel all over. Remember, each story should be tested and shippable in one iteration, and the story points have to account for testing as well. Everyone in the team picked infinity as the estimate, and the Scrum Master had to break it down to smaller chunks that are more manageable in the current sprint. We noticed that we spent less time on documentation and more time on development and communication. The customer had more control over his own products and could customize it and tweak it at his own will with agility. Our team was more empowered with what it's able to deliver and not being forced to overcommit. And oh yeah, I almost forgot. My favorite bit is we had a retrospective at the end of each iteration. Retrospectives is the meeting where team members are allowed to say what they liked and disliked about the sprint. It is crucial for the evolving of the sprints and to establish a self-organizing autonomous team. I felt it was my chance to help the team evolve. After a few iterations, we knew that we could finish 50 story points on each iteration. The Scrum Master would push as many as 50 points, and every once in a while he will challenge us with a bigger number of story points. I remember the day very well when he told us 50 is our current velocity, but let us try to shoot for 55. Velocity is the number of story points the team can finish in each iteration. It is calculated after multiple sprints, after which the Scrum Master will try to figure out the team's velocity. I remember the day we celebrated that we could actually achieve 70 and had some tasty snacks. Yummy! It was a long, tedious stride from 50 to 70, but sure an interesting one. I later knew that this system was following a particular framework of Agile called Scrum. The Scrum is an Agile framework that is focused on empowering the software team and making it a fully fledged self-driving car. able to reach his targets with a very little outside interference. In Scrum, there are protocols such as daily stand-up, sprint refinement, sprint grooming sessions, retrospectives, sprint reviews, and very clearly defined roles such as Scrum Masters and product owners. There is another framework that is more workflow based, and it is what Toyota and Microsoft Xbox team use, and it is called Kanban. Unfortunately, as to all great stories, there is a dark side. Spotify revealed its mega agile system that had squads, squad leads, tribes, and tribe leads. A retail mega store I was working for copied the same system as this one and spent a lot of money to do so, hiring agile coaches who strictly followed Spotify's system but didn't have good returns on its investment. The thing with agile is what works for one company doesn't necessarily work for another, and you have to receive inputs from the development team and slowly expand based on the inputs from the retrospectives. If you don't set up a culture that grows slowly and naturally, you have not done agile right. There is no need to go fully agile as well. As you already know, Amazon is a very successful, thriving company. Ironically, the software culture is not what you may expect. The stakeholders would contact software engineers in the middle of the night to cater for customers' complaints. They wouldn't wait to contact the product owner and outline it in user stories and remove some items from the current sprint. Amazon takes customer-centric to a whole new level. Agile is a very broad umbrella meant to empower customers and give them more visibility and control, when you can think of frameworks and their implementations as protocols that help bring the Agile model to life. The high cost of the medicine doesn't guarantee it is a cure to every disease, and you will have to figure out the right medicine for you. The end target is success and satisfaction. Don't let your obsession over methodology blind you from your target. The bad implementation of Agile is what led one of his founders, Dave Thomas, to make a very cynical speech that he called Agile is dead. But as he said, that doesn't mean people should stop using it. So my best advice to you as a developer, if you find a company that is implementing a bad Agile or Waterfall methodology, find a better company for yourself. A bad project management can be psychologically and physically draining. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as I enjoyed making it. This is my first video, so please support me. Since I know you're curious how, I will tell you. Like Softan's Facebook page, subscribe to its YouTube channel, share this video, leave a comment, or visit or share Softan's website. You can find a link to Softan's website below. I have just launched the website, so it will be great if you visit it from time to time for cool new features. I will make this website evolve in the most agile fashion. If you didn't like this video, please support me as well by leaving your feedback in a comment or private message. Your honest feedback is really valuable to me. It is similar to retrospective in a Scrum, where your feedback helps Softan evolve. Thank you and see you soon.